There was an old man named Wallace P. Flynn who lived in a house in the trees. You could smell him for several miles downwind because of his fondness for trees.
Really?
For the trees that was dear to W.P. was not the mild kind, such as Bree, the trees of polite society. No, he liked trees that was in your face, trees that smelled like socks from Maris on race, trees that really stink up the place. Okay, his wife knelt down and begged him, please have William Wallace and change your cheese. And his son said, cheese makes your breath so bad it smells like death to be near you, Dad. And his wife
asked
him, please have world's mercy and change your cheese.
Got it so far. What's next?
It's offensive to you, but cheese cheers me up when I am blue. I don't know why, but a nice sharp cheddar makes me feel a whole lot better. A lemon burger or Emmentaler makes me grin and jump and holler. Oh, the pleasure of a slice of Cheshire. Some men went faint on their names on marquees. Some men love money. I choose cheese. So, his daughter moved to Oklahoma to escape the aroma, and his son ran off to Arkansas, which has a halitosis law, and his wife Louise sailed away to the Hebrides, where an ocean wind steadily blows by night and day and drives unpleasant smells away. With his family gone, Wallace P. Flynn lost all his self-discipline. He ate cheese. Hey, look at that one. It's all green.
Right.
Because he walked around with a cheesy grin and drove his truck and park it in front of Easy Ed's used cheese market. Easy Ed was a skinny old geezer with thick green eyes and a great big beater who sold old trees that he stored in rooms deep underground in cool dark tombs. Trees that was covered in thick green mold. Some of the trees was 20 years old.
Oh, holy moly.
Wallace P. Flynn drove his load of trees back to his lonely house in the trees. To him it smelled like fresh spring bloom, pure and good.
Good and rich.
Good and rich, while other drivers swerved into the ditch. Overcome by deadly fumes, he wrapped the trees in a burlap sack and buried it deep in a hole out back and covered it up and put it in a pipe so he could smell when the cheese got ripe. And when it began to gurgle and squish and bubble and burble and smell like dead fish, he heard the gurgles and bubbles and gurgle and cried, by George, it smells delicious. The smell was so violently
The smell was so?
awful and sour and vile, the skunks had to go and lay down for a while. The squirrels picked up all the nuts they had squirreled and moved to a distant part of the world. One day, a pig stood up on its haunches and fell over flat on its back, unconscious. What is it?
There's the pig.
I know.
Yeah, the smell?
Was so vile and rank. The mailman brought an oxygen tank. Cheese that really stink up the place. There were stories in the papers about the terrible vapors. Despite neighbors' pleas, Flynn still chomps cheese. The neighbors called the cheese police, who ordered Wallace P. Flynn to cease. "We're coming in, slow down your cheese, and put your hands in the air and freeze," they cried, advancing through the trees. They wore cheese-proof masks and cheese-proof suits and rubberized steel-toed anti-cheese boots, strong enough to keep out the Gucci's and strong enough to keep out the blue cheese.
Holy moly. This is incredible.
Okay. But Wallace P. Flynn locked his door and sat on the floor and ate some more Norwegian cheese that he dug up in which he spread on bread and made a sandwich. Green putrid cheese. Oh, how it stunk. Lops and blops and drips and drops of yellow gunk that oozed through his teeth and between his lips.
The cheese police
Surrounded the place, but tears ran down the captain's face. He grabbed a tree and stood quite still. The snow had made him rather ill. His knees were
weak.
His face was pale. Strong tremor shook his great physique. He gasped for breath. His eyes went dim. That cheese was much too strong for him.
Really? Holy moly.
Okay, what is...
Halt, he cried.
And then retreat, and gave his men a backward nod, and they turned and ran back to the street. He ordered the men to load their guns with butterscotch, custard, and sticky buns. They fired once and again, bang, bang, and then a blast of lemon meringue. Okay, what is it?
And out of the house
Came a pitiful cry. "Stop the custard, please, no more. The smell of lemon makes me gag." And old man Flynn came out the door with his hands held high, holding a big white flag. They took him away, the poor old man, and drove him to town in a caravan. And eventually the case was tried.
in a court.
Jerry Jacqueline Hyde.
And
And the jury sat there blurry-eyed and just...
experts testify. They talked.
And talked and couldn't decide. And Halloween came and Christmas tide. And...
When Wallace Flynn Jr.
stood up and shouted, "Give up the cheese, Daddy, do without it." He had just flown in from Arkansas with his wife Louise and his mother-in-law, and the baby boy Wallace from the third. "Look," he said, "you become a grandpa. If you love your family, give your word. From this day on, no Parmesan. Promise you won't eat a bite of Velveeta, Swiss Romana, back for eat 'em. Give 'em up, Daddy, you don't need 'em. Why devote your life to cheese when you can have a grandbaby on your knees?"
Wallace P. Flynn looked at Wallace number 3.
And the child smiled so beautifully and held out his teeny hands so wide the old cheese broke down and cried.
Oh my goodness. I do relinquish and
And
force
forswear all
all
cheese, including camembert.
Colby,
And
even my Monterey Jack gift back.
from Anson, Wisconsin.
I never again will face a face.
And
From now on, this shall be my goal. A life of 0 gorgonzola. No cheese and macaroni or cheese on my beans.
I'm all done with
cheese
cuisine.
cuisine. Tuna melts.
And potatoes look
Rotten
rotten.
shall be.
Shall be by me henceforth forgotten.
And the judge said,
Mr. Flynn, your no cheese plan is all we need. Now go, you're free. And the jury
whooped.
and cried, and his daughter ran to the old man's side and kissed his cheek and stroked his hair and said, Daddy, we love you so. And his son wore a smile a mile wide, and he tossed the baby in the air, and the baby laughed. It was quite a show. Okay, and
Wallace P. Flynn
took the whole Flynn bunch around to a corner cafe for lunch. He enjoyed a plate of garden peas, a Chinese salad with anchovies, fresh fruit flown in from overseas, cherries and berries and juppa leaves, and 2 iced teas.
The waitress
Chris looked at W.P. Is there anything else you'd like, said she. No thanks, this is all for me. All I want is my family. Okay.
That night,
He sailed to the Hebrides
to the arm.
back to his dear Louise, and they bought a cottage in a grove of trees where humbly buzzed the bumblebees around the petunias and peonies. And
Mr.
Miss and Mrs. Wallace P. Flynn were right at home by the ocean side and watched the tide go in and the tide go out, and were very deeply satisfied with sunny days and beautiful dreams, a low-fat lunch, and a daily snooze. And
Which goes to show
that a person can choose to mend his way,
and to begin.
as Mr. Flynn did with his wife.
How did you learn this?
I'm not telling you.
Okay,
Where did you
because that's